We leave the coast of French Guiana on a 45-minute flight. Rising from the open sea, our destination, ENSCO 8503. This 57,000-ton steel giant is the first exploration platform to search for crude off the territory's coast. Of the 150 crew, nearly everyone is American, from Texas, Louisiana or Florida. For every 3 weeks at sea, they get 3 weeks at home.
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
Our guide is the man in the green shirt, logistics expert Jérôme Crosnier. Drilling here is almost over. In just a few days, the platform will be moved elsewhere to search for oil.
We will work safe or we won't work at all.
Safety is the top priority, and the numbers speak for themselves.
Our last lost time accident was 410 days ago. Our last recordable incident was 219 days ago. Actually, we've never had a lost time accident, so we're going to keep our record straight.
For a few hours, we've been given special access. This is the bridge, the hub of the operation. Like a ship, the platform can move. But to drill and reach the oil reservoir, it must remain perfectly stable in the face of strong ocean currents. A day of drilling costs 750,000 euros, so nothing can disturb the drill hole.
It's the daily routine. We attach tubes and go down, we screw more on and descend even further, and so on. Then we bring everything up, and then we go down again. It's a daily process.
Linked together, these tubes can reach a depth of 6,000 meters. It's there, deep in the Earth's crust, that British firm Tullow Oil, Total and Shell have found a huge oil deposit.
Came down here and found a new field. They got oil in a new region, so maybe it'll open up some work for later on in the future.
This is one of the few Guyanese hired by the oil company. Most of the company's workers are foreign. Joachim Vogt is the spokesman for Tullow Oil.
This is the Tullow Oil Project Management Unit, and here's a crisis meeting room from where we can follow operations.
Behind this door, managers, engineers and geologists check the platform's performance by phone every morning. On the screens, drilling data is sent back in real time. This latest search began as a hunch by Tullow's geologists, based on the pattern of continental drift.
The Tullow geologists believe that the same type of formations, the same age of rocks that existed off of West Africa would exist off the coast of South America, because it was placed there when the continents were still together. So at that age, the West African geology and the South American geology were the same.
Today, Tullow geologists are confident of finding oil at the drill site, a reservoir more than 70 meters deep. But until the first barrels are pumped out, it won't be clear how far the field extends.
Before they make a commitment for a full-scale development, which is a very long-term commitment and a very expensive commitment, they'll want more well information, more actual information about the. For the industry, it takes about 7 years from the time of first discovery until the first production of oil in these deep water depths. The average is 7 years.
When it was announced in September last year, French media hailed the discovery as historic. Historic for France, which may yet become an oil-producing nation. But also for Guiana, a French overseas territory where unemployment is now at a record 21%. Officials say the timing couldn't be better.
The creation of 1,000 jobs has been mentioned. I've heard talk of a field producing 1.4 billion barrels of oil. It's really significant. It's said that investments could be between $5 and $7 billion. So it's true, it's a major discovery.
These 4 to 6 million euros of investment are a hot topic at this market in Cayenne. After the space center at Kourou, the forest gold rush, it's oil that's generating buzz across the territory, and many are hoping for a slice of the pie.
Money is spent on rockets, money is spent on the oil, millions and millions, but what are they doing for the population? For people who can't feed themselves, people who are jobless? What are we doing for them?
If the conditions are right for this production, and if the people of French Guiana have their share, then I say yes.
I hope the French Guyanese will seize this opportunity and get something in return.
A view echoed by the regional authority. Its president, RODOLPHE Alexandre, has been one of the Guiana Socialist Party's leading lights for more than 25 years. Today, though, he's a member of France's ruling UMP party and a strident advocate of oil production, with a sample of Guyanese oil proudly displayed on his desk. He insists the local population will benefit.
It's the future for French Guiana. A public debate will be organized, all above board, with dignity and calm, so that my country can really reap the profits of oil extracted off our coast. Today, we are in a region situated in the Amazon basin in South America, an area where we have 32,000 people without access to drinking water. 1/5 of the population doesn't have electricity. So I assure you there will be no oil production in French Guiana without the French Guyanese.
As many as 10,000 homes here are considered unlivable. In the 50-odd shanty towns, unregulated construction continues. Marius FLORELLA leads a local housing rights group. Today he's taking us to Cognac-la-Mirande, a slum in the suburbs of Cayenne.
It's one of the largest districts in French Guiana. I'd say between 8,000 and 10,000 people living here, without running water, electricity or telephone. People who live here in precarious conditions.
Official figures put the number of unsanitary dwellings here at more than 1,500. Some have been demolished by the government. That's how MAGRELA MORISSAIN lost her home.
Things are really unbalanced. On the one hand, you have the real misery of French Guiana. On the other hand, there's oil. There's another rocket, the Soyuz. So I wonder, when are we going to stop plundering our wealth? Are we going to do something for our youth?
With no electricity, Magrela's daughter rushes to finish her homework before nightfall. Their house has been demolished, and though it's illegal, they've already started to build another home nearby. A clay building with no windows. A far cry from the life that this Haitian migrant was hoping for.
You see, this is my plight. This is how I live. Like a rat. You understand, I have no permit. But in order to live, I must try to do something. There's no good life. Life is hard.
Just a few hundred state-sponsored homes are built each year, but thousands more are needed to house the growing population. So could oil finally put Guiana on the path to prosperity? For more answers, we head to the French Parliament in Paris to meet Christiane Taubira, a left-wing MP for Guiana. Under French law, offshore oil is currently exempt from tax. But Taubira wants the mining code changed and is fighting for a new levy on each barrel of oil produced.
You should know that the present mining code foresees a progressive tax on mining liquid or gas hydrocarbons. So that includes oil, but excludes offshore fields. In other words, it's only in the overseas territories that you can envisage having a concession, producing oil, and not paying the smallest amount of tax. It's truly scandalous from a legal, political and moral point of view. And from an economic standpoint, it's irrational.
The question of royalties is crucial, a few cents on each barrel, and the region stands to gain millions of euros. But there's a catch. The well is extremely deep, even further down than the deep water horizon. When BP's drill site ruptured 2 years ago, it spewed crude oil for weeks, ravaging swaths of coastline around the Gulf of Mexico. No surprise that environmentalists are deeply concerned over Guyana's budding oil industry.
The platform is 150 kilometers off the coast of Cayenne. And if there was an accidental oil spill, with the currents, the oil would be washed onto the coast of Guyana, on this western half of the department, from Sinamari, and then all along the western shoreline, including our neighbors in Suriname.
Even in the search phase, a spill is possible, and ecologists say neither oil companies nor the government are equipped to deal with such a disaster.
The government has measures to deal with this kind of pollution, to counter it. And the oil company has a kind of response plan. But neither side has clearly identified the measures that would be put in place to face such a crisis, to counter a major incident. And today, we must admit, we don't know anything.
It's a risk that the oil companies play down.
It is much better to intervene to avoid the accident rather than acting after a site has been polluted. In other words, we need to make sure we actually monitor closely what we do, rather than having great resources to intervene after the accident.
Oil firms know all too well that Guyana has a fragile ecosystem, with one of the biggest mangrove swamps in the world. Cleaning it up after an oil spill would be a mammoth task. This summer, 2 new searches are due to begin off the coast to determine the size of the oil field. Deciding how the riches are to be shared is likely to take much longer.